The Rams stymie the Patriots as New England scores only once on a 13-7 home win for St. Louis. The Patriots down by 6 to the St. Louis Rams in the Coliseum. 1:19 to go in the game. Cunningham's looking long. Pass rush is coming. He fires down the field. Randy Moss makes the catch, and Randy Moss is in the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. Their second touchdown connection from 38 yards away, right hash. His kick is up. It's got the distance, and the kick is good. The Chicago Bears are going to win the game. The Bears 13, the Colts 10. With Jarnder Dude 95, we bring you Week 6 of the Dream Season Football League 4 as Tom Brady and the Patriots, with Joe Montana with the 49ers, to no surprise, are the leading passers midway through the regular season. And as we look at the AFC, the left side of the bracket, in a battle for the 4 seed, Kansas City owns it right now over Miami, really just by way of tiebreakers, but the Dolphins in South Florida to begin Week 6 can crawl back into the postseason with a win today against the aforementioned Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are coming off a tough loss to Minnesota last week, and the Dolphins, with backup quarterback Earl Morrall taking over as starter, emerged with the struggling Bob Greasy searching for some semblance of offense. Morrall had just 15 yards passing going into the fourth quarter, but scrambles for a first down there. Then on 4th and goal, here's Morrall, who launches for the win, and the pass is deflected and incomplete by Thomas. And the Dolphins, losers of 2 straight, are now out of the postseason picture with Kansas City's win 6-0, improving the Chiefs' record to 4-2. Well, Baltimore can thank the Kansas City Chiefs for their win over Miami earlier today, which means no matter how this game pans out, the Colts will still remain at least a 4 seed out of the AFC. And to begin the third quarter, Morrall dials up a 75-yard touchdown to the veteran from Jackson State and Willie Richardson. And now the Steelers, led by Terry Bradshaw, look to respond with a long scramble, in fact, the longest run of the ballgame in the season for Terry Bradshaw, then a first down hookup of 12 to Jim Smith. But on 3rd and 13 for a team dead last, 9 for 39 on third down offense this year, Roy Hilton brings down Bradshaw, but the Steeler defense takes advantage of the poorest field position with a pick 6 of 30 yards with Mike Wagner, the veteran from Western Illinois, ties the ball game at 10. 2:20 to go in the fourth quarter. Mackey loses the ball, forced by Donnie Shell, recovered by Lauren Toes, and the Steelers take over as the Hall of Fame tight end commits a Baltimore turnover. That is their 9th of the season. Then John Stallworth hauls in the go-ahead touchdown. And with under 2 minutes left, the Colts need something to happen. Mean Joe Green brings down Morrall. Then on 4th and 16, this is for the game. He takes a huge shot down the field, does Morrall, and that pass is caught by Willie Richardson, who is one of the most dangerous receivers in the DSFL 4. Here's Morrall on 2nd and goal. He fires, and Mel Blount intercepts the football, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are back in the playoff hunts with their 17-10 win over the Baltimore Colts, who fall their 3rd straight loss. As we see that interception thrown from Morrall, he missed 2 open receivers in the end zone, one there in the front and the other, John Mackey, in the back. Everyone, please forgive me. I took out the DSFL champion 1976 Oakland Raiders and inputted the 2002 version that went to the Super Bowl but lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And through 5 games, the Raiders have proven to be the worst team in the league, and not a very good decision on the part of myself. Trace Armstrong recovers a fumble of Roland Williams, and to begin the third quarter, the Raiders are over the top team of the NFC in the 4-1 Rams, 6-0. But Marshall Faulk, who is nearly 100 yards clear of the next best rusher in the DSFL 4, he is running away with the rushing title. He scampers for 53 yards, stopped to the 1 by Torrey James, so the Rams punch it in. Justin Watson to score, and St. Louis leads 7-6. Tim Brown was one of the best receivers in the league in 2002, 15-year pro from Notre Dame, stopped by Michael Morton, but a holding penalty on Doug Jolly of the Raiders, the rookie from BYU. We look at the left side of the screen. He is holding on to the Ram linebacker and yanks him from behind, and thus the Raiders wipe out the huge game. Same drive, under 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Gannon fumbles the ball. It's his 8th turnover of the year, recovered by Kevin Carter, and the Raiders fittingly lose the game on a last-second turnover. Raiders must win at least 3 of 4 with some help to make the playoffs. A couple of 2-3 teams meet in San Francisco, where Week 6 of the DSFL 4 features a potential playoff spot up for grabs out of the NFC. Montana fires a slant to Taylor, and the 49ers, just over 2 minutes to go in the ball game, lead 10-3. But here's McMahon on a 3rd and long. He dials up a 31-yard pass completion to the rookie out of UCLA, Tim Reitman. Then McMahon throws the game-tying score to Walter Payton, the best receiving back by way of yards, and the DSFL 4. 1st and 10 for Montana. He hooks up with a man who I believe is the greatest clutch player in the history of the DSFL 4 and the history of the NFL, in fact, and that is Jerry Rice. 3 straight big completions to Rice puts the 49ers in a position for the young kicker from NC State, Kofor, to win the game, and he does. The 49ers come back from oblivion and win 3 straight to improve to 3-3. Chicago won 13-10 last week against Baltimore, but drops this game 13-10. Kudos to those of you who knew that Brett Favre would lead the league at 73% pass completions after 5 games of the regular season. And he would add on to that ledger today as he picks apart one of the league's worst defenses of the Minnesota Vikings. Favre, who throws 6 touchdowns this season, 2 today, hooks up with Don Beebe for a gain of 86 yards. Packers up 21-7 with under 2 minutes to go in the ballgame. Randall Cunningham scrambles for his first touchdown of the season on an 8-yard scamper, 21-14. Green Bay is denied by Edgar Bennett on a 3rd down and 10. This is one of the league's best rushing offenses, the Green Bay Packers. Here's Cunningham, who begins the drive with an 18-yard hookup to Andrew Glover, 16-yard connection to Randy Moss. Then on a 3rd and 10, Cunningham makes some magic happen. A gain of 17 to the veteran from Ohio State, Chris Carter. But now the Vikings on a 2nd down. After a spike, he checks it down to Robert Smith, who is tackled inbounds by Butler. Cunningham has thrown for 243 yards, but he spikes the football here on a 3rd and 12 and banks on the 4th and 17 after a false start. Packers bring 5, so Cunningham takes off and runs. He's at the 10. Cunningham's at the 5, and he is denied at the 4 by Corey Dowden. A big play for the Green Bay defense, and the Packers are going to win the game. Packers improve to 4-2. 4-0 against the NFC as well, and will host San Francisco next week. The 2 top teams in the AFC meet at Foxborough, Massachusetts. 4-1 Broncos, 4-1 Patriots. This game wasn't even close. An underwhelming performance by the Broncos as Tom Brady rips the secondary to shreds. He was nearly perfect in quarterback rating of over 149. He was 10 of 15, 212 yards and 3 touchdowns. First to Stallworth, second to Kyle Brady, and the 3rd to Kevin Fogg. New England improves to 5-1 of the season. They will visit the stalwart 4-2 Chiefs next week, but their final 3 opponents are 2-4 Chicago, 1-5 Oakland, and 2-4 Pittsburgh. The Patriots dominate the Broncos. Denver stays at the 2 seed at 4-2. Seattle Seahawks and Washington Redskins at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Despite the Seahawks' overtime win against Pittsburgh last week, the Seahawks still need this win today to keep afloat in the tough NFC playoff picture. For Christine Michael, the young running back from Texas A&M, a man who had no touchdowns his first 3 years in the league, he rumbles in for 2 scores for the Seahawks, who lead 17-6 with just over 2 minutes to go in the game. Rippon begins the drive with a near first down completion to a tight end who has had a wonderful year in Terry Orr. He makes another catch, does the 6-year pro out of Texas, to put the Redskins just inside field goal range for Chip Lohmiller. But then Rippon and company are knocked out of field goal range with a sack by Bennett. The penalty of a hold is declined. Redskins still elect a 52-yard field goal for Chip Lohmiller, which is short, and the game is over. Washington may just be playing for their season next week against the Minnesota Vikings. Seahawks, since their 0-4 start, have won 2 straight. Both teams are 2-4 after Week 6 of the DSFL 4 season. So earlier today, Kansas City knocked off Miami, making for an intriguing matchup in Week 7 of the DSFL 4. From KC Memorial Stadium, the Chiefs will tangle the Patriots, and the winner grabs the #1 spot in the AFC. As for the NFC, the Bears will tangle the top seed of the NFC, the 5-1 St. Louis Rams. Meanwhile, #2 Green Bay plays host to #3 San Francisco. That and so many more games are on tap next Sunday on the DSFL 4 with Charger 295.